I'm going to talk about how to choose the programming language for your career. Um, After your 12th, maybe when you get into the college, you had a big dilemma of choosing the course, like whether you wanted to go engineering or you wanted to go art or science, or you had a big dilemma of choosing your college degree, right? Similarly, if you are a computer science engineer, when you are getting to the um, company or a career, you may be thinking like, there is a Python, there is a Java, there is a database, there is a PHP, um, C, C++, Go, Rust, Swift, mobile app, web app. There are variety of programming language and the area of programming. You have a big dilemma of which one I should choose for my career, right? Of course, this is really very difficult to choose, but most of you, you have a big dilemma how to choose this. But if you're a new, fresh graduate and you are thinking to take some course, I hope this video can be very helpful. Let me try the best I can. Um, so please visit the TIOB index. Just go ahead and search the Google something like TIBOE index. Okay, so it will open the first line for obviously, and just open this and read this particular page very carefully. And this is what I'm going to explain today, so that I'm sure this will give you some clue for you, or some fresh mind for you to choosing your programming career life. But if you already chosen some programming language and already you are past, going through some training or a course, please don't get confused. Starting with any programming language is always fantastic. You just go ahead and complete the programming language you already, going through, because learning the first language is very, very important. Because once you are, getting thorough into one of the programming language, learning other programming languages is much, much, much simpler. It's not like learning English and then maybe Hindi or French. I know it would be tough, but in a software programming language, if you are very good at one of the programming language, and learning another language is pretty easy. I promise you, it's pretty easy. You can just go ahead and comparatively see how really concepts work, and you can just start writing the code. So please don't get confused if you already start. But if you are just thinking what you wanted to really learn, and this video would be useful. Okay, so when you go through and you can read what exactly this index. Just to give an index, you all know that government record the population, right, country wise, or so how do they really record the population, right? So whenever there is a birth in a hospital, that has been recorded, or even very frequently in your areas, some of the government official may come and collect the head count from each family and then name something like that. So government always put many effort to um, uh, keep the population count as as closer as to the reality, right? So likewise, there are companies, they really track certain numbers or some details. That's what we call it as the index. They just record all the data and prepare here as a presentable data, and behind this there is a complete data available, how this particular data has been gathered. So that's what we call it as an index. Okay, so this is TIOB index for a programming language. Okay, so what it gives is that this company really records the popularity of programming language. You can really go ahead and find out what the TIOB index means. Okay, like how, I mean, this is basically really like how the search engine, or how many time in a search engine somebody recording or searching some programming language. So, I mean, in various search engines, it could be Google or Wikipedia or Bing, Amazon, eBay. I mean, in many sites, people are searching every day particular keywords, right? So, based on that, this system really tracks or collect the data from them and gather this index. Okay, so I mean, I'm sure that more than 15 years I'm following this index. I'm sure at least once in 3 months I just come here and I look at it and I'm seeing that okay, what has been changed. Okay, so in order to understand this really, let me give a quick a detail. For example, so Python, if you take a Python, Python is being the number one language. I mean, again, I make sure that it's a number one in the sense that in terms of popularity, okay? Because many people searching about Python on the internet, so that's the reason this particular index says that the Python is being number one, okay? So don't really think that if you are another programming language, don't compare yourself. Oh, Python is a superior. Not really like that. Don't go into such a opinionated mode. I'm just telling you this. When you know the popularity of the language, especially for the fresh programmer, then you can understand, oh, this is many people searching for it, which means there are many developer in this programming language, or many people are interested in this. In the sense, there are many company using this programming language, and there are many new software, getting developed using this language. So when you learn this, popular language, there is a high chance you can get a job easily because many companies using many developers around there. So that, which means this particular programming gets a lot more popularity. So learning such a popular language, it's a very easy, you can get a job. Okay, but you may think, oh, I'm maybe learning today Python, maybe I get a job, but after 2 years, after 5 years, if there is another language getting popularity, will I lose a job? Not really. You know, I started my career 15 years before with a C programming language. Today, I know at least more than I would say Java, Python, C, um, Perl, and Swift. I would say at least I know six plus languages very well, but always I go Java is the first. I mean, that's what I like. You know, so in the sense, if you're a developer, as I mentioned initially, if you learn one programming language um, well, and learning another language is always pretty easy. Okay, so again, coming back to here, so here it says that in both um, 2020, I mean 2023 and 2022, Python being the first in terms of the place, and the rating is 14.83, and of course it's growing, which means from the 2022, it's still increased in terms of the popularity, and you know, so it changed from the last year. It changed a plus 0.57 percentage. If you really click and see the history of the Python, okay, in highest position since 2001, in 2000, 23, which means they are tracking this programming language from the year of 2001, and in 2023 it is being number one. So in of course in 2001, Python was in the 30th place, right? If you look at the last 22 years, Python is consistently getting the popularity among the programming languages. Today it get into the number one position, which means in the last 2 decades, Python is being continually grow. I know many languages in the last 2 decades, it gets just popular when it come, and maybe after 2 to 3 years the name not even searched anywhere. It just gone away. But this is really great that the Python really score the number one position in terms of I mean in the year 2007, 10, 18, 20, 21, of course. 2023 also it got uh, first in the place. And also it gives the in terms of the growth, how it getting search. You see it, Python is always growing, just. And similarly you go back and see the C language. C language is mother of all programming language. Of course C is being almost in the top from the beginning. you know if you are really a C programmer, it's always good. C is very strong for a long, and many companies are using. And of course C is the mother of all other programming languages. Okay, Java is being number 3 in the position, of course, in the 2022, of course 2023. And you can also see how the places are getting changed. Really Go is growing. Of course Go is as a programming language developed by Google. Of course Google, right? So it's of course people love Google, and it is getting promoted. So it was in 2022, Go programming language was 13th place, but in 2023 it got into the 10th place, right? Which is, in a 1 year it beat 3 positions, which means it's really, really growing such a fast. And of course, you see some of the languages are declining also. PHP, when it comes to web development, PHP is a master today. Even as a PHP, it is getting into the 10th place. In 2023 it was 13. Sorry, the PHP, it was 8. Now it got into the ninth place, but it is declining. PHP is a fantastic language, but it really used only in terms of web development, not into other aspect of development. Like if you take Java, you can develop a web application, a desktop application, mobile app, right? It is really versatile. Any domain, any kind of software you can develop with the Java, but the same way other languages are not used. Notably, you see a C++, of course, fourth place, C sharp, fifth place. Just go and see Java, because for last 20 years, Java was in first place for many years. Today, Python being number 1, right? So Java was first place for at least for 10 years continually, yearly. But after Python growing, and especially the JavaScript growth, Java is really declining comparatively, but I promise you, Java is being one of the most widely programming language today, because it exists in the first place for more than a decade, and there are many libraries is already built around. The existence is there because the core is very strong. Even if you go to the Maven repository, where all the libraries are getting saved today, there are 33 million repositories into the various aspects, like a JDB, drivers, collections, format, database, XML processing, IO, JSON, testing aspect. So 33 million is a quite vast number, right? There are many programming already using it. Switching to another language is not that easy. Java is really very strong, and it is used by many companies. So if you choose any of this programming language, which is between 1 and 10, it's really good. I'm sure you might be in one among these 10. But as I mentioned earlier, if you are learning anything other than, let's say maybe a Ruby or a Swift or a Rust, really don't worry. Even Rust is growing so fast. It was in a 26th place. Now it get into the 19th place. Who knows, right? So don't worry about this change. But keep learning the language you are learning today. But if you don't know any other language, you are just starting. Just go ahead and learn Python or C, of course, or Java. So just stay focused within the three, among the top three, so that it's easy to find the job. So, of course, JavaScript is one of the fastest growing in the last 5 years at least. I could remember, because after the Node.js is came into the real popularity, um, because Node is the only language you can write both the front end and the back end together, and with the same JavaScript as a language. Many developers love that. Okay, say I'm a Java developer. So if it is a front end, I always use the React JS, and for the back end, I use Java. But if you wonder, is Java can't be used for a front end? No, I was using Java for a long, even for a front end. Java is a really MVC framework. We can develop a Java using a Spring Boot, which has inbuilt template engine. We can develop everything in Java. But recent days, if it is really e-commerce kind of site I'm developing, I use 100% Java for both the front end and back end, because for the I would say that server side rendering, blah blah blah. If it is like user UI intensive applications, like a form data collection kind of thing, it's not really involved in any search engine. I use React.js as a front end and Java as a back end. Okay, so please use this, and use this detail carefully. And if you start your career as a software developer, um, try to use at least from the top three, so it would be really good. Um, but again, don't confuse if you are learning any other programming language. Just keep going the language that you are learning. After you complete, you can learn any other programming language. I'm sure about it. Okay, so you can also see like how programming languages are the growth are. Okay, so see Python. Python is really growing from the, I mean, 2002 to 2022. It's consistently the Python is growing, right? And if you see C, I mean the programming language C, it is a little declining, but not in a massive change, right? It's a little bit, but it's slowly declining. Of course, C Java, it is also declining, but again like a C. You remember, right? The Python, C, and Java is always the top, and other languages are declining. Of course, this one C sharp. C sharp is a really growing, but slowly. C sharp is a kind of .NET developers who can use the Java kind of syntaxes. So C sharp is invented for that particular reason. The primary reason is that bring Java developer into the .NET space. So that's what the C sharp is really developed. Many of the syntax styles and everything will be as like as Java. Okay, leaving that aside, you see the other languages. JavaScript is really growing faster than I think that this slide is really showing. Um, Not the way I think, but yeah, Go also growing. In addition to that, you can also cross verify. I'm sure that this one index is more than enough, but you wanted to really get another opinion, something like that, right? So you can just go and check for Google Trends. uh, okay, just open the Google Trends and um, explore, and maybe you can search like um, Java and Python, and maybe you can use JavaScript, maybe Rust, C. Uh, Maybe I think this is only available. Okay, so if you really search, it just gives comparatively. Okay, again, let's not worry about how the growth factor or kind of things. Not really. Okay, it just gives comparatively, the Java or a C is searched 90 times. The same time, Java is searched 49 times. Okay, whereas Python searched 48 times, of course, equal. JavaScript searched 17 times in the Google search. I mean, it is only in India. Okay, if you really go and worldwide, you can see the numbers would be really different. Okay, so C is 87 times, Python is 34 times, and Java is 23 times. All right. So you can also go ahead and change this to last maybe 5 years, not really necessary more than that. and just do search. You can see, like, again, C is always master, right? I told you C is the mother of all programming languages. So this red line, Python is really kind of growing, right? Slowly it's really growing, and in the red line, the JavaScript also really growing, right? And um, Java, again, Java remains the same standard. It just maintained the same level. It's declining, but still, it's a very old is gold, right? Like that. But if you are very region specific, for example, you are a developer from India, and you may think that in India, I mean, you can check that which programming language and the popularity of language in the India region itself. So maybe it's easy for you to, get. I mean, within your geolocation, you can find out. Oh, in India, it's look like. Uh, you see, C is widely used, right? Um, and the second biggest maybe Java, right? So in India, C and Java is C is the first and Java is the second. Python is third place. But if you are from China, maybe that's entirely different. China uses Python heavily first, and then uh, Java, right? So like that also you can see, if you are from US or if you are from India or China, you can see your region wise of popularity, and then you can focus on that language so that it is easy for you to get a job, something like that. So I hope that especially for the new fresh developer, this video would be very useful. And if you have any question or I mean, of course, put that into the comment section. I can definitely answer that. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Bye.